So, hello everybody. Yeah, long story short, there was an accident on my route to work. It began at 5:45. Unbeknownst to me, I left the house at 7:30, and what happened was I never made it in. I traveled 11 miles over 3 hours and 15 minutes. So, first of all, I want to apologize for uh, not being able to see you all in person. I will make some changes so that does not happen again. At least I'll do my level best. If something happens at 3:30 in the morning and the traffic is still backed up, I may not have much control over it, but let's hope for the best. So today I'm going to do a walkthrough of what I want us to do in class on Wednesday. So we talked about stasis theory a week ago. I introduced you all to it, so let's just do a quick little review. So let me kind of just go through that very quickly for you all. So let's go over 4 basic components of stasis theory. So stasis theory, as we discussed, is a framework that you can use to resolve disputes and mediation. It is the foundation of the legal system in most of the West, as in the global West, excluding the Napoleonic Code in France. And it is also a useful tool for analyzing issues, for analyzing sources, and for organizing your own thoughts. So let's talk about what stasis theory is. So what are the facts relating to the issue? In other words, what is it that makes the problem a problem? What are the parts of it? What is the nature and meaning of the issue? Definition. Is it a social problem? Is it an environmental problem? Is it a psychological problem? Is it an economic problem, etc.? Is it a local problem or a national problem or a world problem? And keep in mind, more than one label can be attached to the problem at hand. What is the seriousness or quality of the issue? We talk about stakeholders. How many people are affected? Are they affected just a little bit? Are they affected somewhat? Are they affected significantly? Are they affected profoundly? So we need to think about this, and we need to think about how many people are affected. What is the plan of action or policy? What can we do to try to solve this problem, in whole or in part? Okay, so that's just kind of a little quick refresher on stasis theory. So let's go to the next thing. So what I did was that the first thing I did, and this is something I was going to model for you all in class today, was I annotated an article, and it's a brief article, and if you go onto Canvas under this week's module, week 4, you will see that I also created an audio file in which I read aloud the article. There's a couple of places I stumble slightly with words, but I think generally it's pretty clean and you should be able to understand. Check the sound quality. Sound quality seems to be pretty good. So I'm not going to read through the whole article. So if you just want to read through it silently, if you want to read through it while listening to the audio, if you are on your way to work or something, you've got 11 minutes, and listen to the article. The important thing is that for you to understand the next steps I take, it's important that you do familiarize yourself with the article. So if you've not done that yet, please pause this video, minimize it, and take the time to go through the article, because then my explanation of this will make more sense. If I had gone through the entire article and done the annotation in real time, this would end up being about an hour and a half long video, and I think it would be harder for you to follow it because you'd be seeing me think and stumble in real time. So trying to compress all of that. So the first thing is, I did a little color coding because that's my thing. I like to color code things when I'm taking notes. So the items highlighted in yellow, I'm identifying what the facts are. The items in red, actually it's supposed to be orange, but it looks like red on here. The meaning or nature of the issue. The seriousness of the issue is either written in blue or is highlighted, and then the plan of action is written in green. So I made some notes. So first of all, I identified that one of the kinds of problems at work here is a public health issue. People are dying from poisoned alcohol. And between 1926 and 1933, 10,000 people, estimates are that 10,000 people died during this period of time. And because this program of the government purposefully poisoning industrial alcohol so that the event bootleggers use the industrial alcohol and then trying to modify it to make it potable so that humans could consume it wouldn't really work. People would still get sick, and unfortunately people ended up dying. And so that program began in 1926, ended with the end of Prohibition. So that's an average of 1,250 people per year over an 8-year period. So that tells you about the seriousness of it. And I understand, it may not seem like a lot of people, but if you think about that as more than 100 people a month, that might make it a little bit more, you're talking maybe roughly 3 people a day. So, that's significant. Anything that kills 3 people a day, that we can control should be something that, we look at as a society. So the other notes I made, meaning the meaning or nature of this issue, the problem for public health, people are becoming sick or dying from poisoned alcohol. The problem for law enforcement is people were consuming illegal alcohol. So even though alcohol was outlawed during Prohibition, as in prohibiting alcohol manufacture, distribution, sale, and therefore consumption, this is the problem. People are not abiding by the law. So, you can see I identified a lot of the facts regarding it. Those are highlighted in yellow. But then I, once again focus on the seriousness of the issue. Alcoholism rates soared during the 1920s. Insurance companies charted the increase at more than 300%. Speakeasies, those were illegal clubs. Sometimes you may also hear the term blind pigs. It's the same kind of thing. An illegal bar. Promptly opened for business. By decade's end, some 30,000 existed in New York City alone. Street gangs grew into bootlegging empires built on smuggling, stealing, and manufacturing illegal alcohol. And then more people drank when booze was illegal. Criminals met public demand to stay in business. Organized crime used violence to protect their investment and resorted to altering industrial alcohol. Okay, so again, that goes back to the seriousness of the issue. So it's that making something illegal actually resulted in the evolution of a criminal enterprise actually multiple criminal enterprises, and they often guarded those enterprises with violence. So it created a new problem. So the federal government's solution at this point was poison the industrial alcohol supply, so bootleggers try to convert it to potable alcohol. It doesn't work. And then the solution by local officials is to warn the public of the dangers of illegal alcohol, saying, hey, people are taking industrial alcohol, trying to convert it into drinkable alcohol. It doesn't work because the federal government's telling companies they need to put in all these additives. And so, that includes methyl alcohol, which was the biggest contributor to these deaths. But there were other kinds of additives: kerosene, brucine, gasoline, benzene, cadmium, iodine, zinc, mercury salts, nicotine, ether, formaldehyde, chloroform, camphor, carbolic acid, quinine, and acetone. Acetone's the stuff that removes nail polish. So think about, you would never drink that, but it was one of the things that was added. And so, again, going to the seriousness of the issue, the Treasury Department also demanded that more methyl alcohol be added, up to 10% of the total product. It was the last that proved most deadly. The results were immediate, starting with that horrific holiday body count in the closing days of 1926. Public health officials responded with shock. The government knows it is not stopping drinking by putting poison in alcohol, the New York City medical examiner Charles Norris said at a hastily organized press conference. It continues its poisoning processes, heedless of the fact that people determined to drink are daily absorbing that poison. Knowing this to be true, the United States government must be charged with the moral responsibility for the deaths that poison liquor causes, although it cannot be held legally responsible. And, also, one alert says practically all liquor that is sold in New York today is toxic. So, we're getting into life and death issues. Now, the ultimate solution to both the problem of people breaking the law and of people dying from alcohol that has been made from industrial alcohol, which is never meant to be consumed. You would not drink the alcohol you use to clean a wound. That's part of your first aid kit at home. So think of if that's something that makes it a little bit more relatable. That's the kind of alcohol we're talking about. It's one example. So the ultimate solution was that end prohibition, once again make alcohol legal and closely regulate its manufacture and distribution. Okay, that was the ultimate way to solve it. So I carefully annotated this source. I went through, I identified different parts of stasis theory. For me, I use different color pens. You might come up with maybe a coding system, maybe use numbers, maybe you do some other kind of notation margins, whatever works best for you, to separate out each of the four stases in the piece that you're analyzing. Because it's not going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's not going to be in the same order as stasis theory. And sometimes information, as you can see from some of this information I highlighted in two colors, both yellow and blue. It both had to do with the facts as well as the seriousness of the issue. So if we jump over to my model for stasis theory exercise, which I posted on Blackboard. Not Blackboard, pardon me, Canvas. Still getting used to the changeover. My apologies. So what I did was I took the form that I'm going to ask you all to use. I don't like to use it to say a worksheet, because a worksheet is more like forensic fill in the blank. This is more of a guided exercise on paper. So I then decided to use this form to help me break down my ideas into each of the Stacies to then create a summary. So we go to the facts. Did something happen? What are the facts? Is there a problem or issue? How did it begin, or what are its causes? What changed to create the problem or issue? Can it be changed? Where did I obtain my data, and are these sources reliable? How do I know these sources are reliable? So this article was part of a collection of the best science writing from 2011. So I used that. Now, yes, that is an older source, but this is about an historical incident. So going back more than 10 years is not a problem, because we're talking about something that happened during the 1920s. So it's okay to go back a little further. So what I did was I put together my thoughts. Even though Prohibition made the manufacture and sale of alcohol illegal, Americans not only wanted to continue to drink, but actually drank more. Deborah Bloom points out that during the 1920s, insurance companies documented that alcohol consumption increased by 300%. And then I give you the page number. That's part of MLA style, which is what I use in my discipline. To deter the public from drinking alcohol made through a process criminals used to alter industrial alcohol so that it could, in theory, be made potable, President Calvin Coolidge's administration ordered manufacturers to add substances that would make the flavor awful, would make the drinker violently ill, or both. And then I give you the page range where that information came from. So let's go on to the second part of Stasis Theory, the meaning or nature of the issue, definition. What is the nature of the problem or issue? What exactly is the problem or issue? What kind of a problem or issue is it? To what larger class of things or events does it belong? What are its parts and how are they related? Or what is influencing our definition of this problem or issue? How and or why are these sources and or beliefs influencing our definition? Or what is influencing our definition of this problem or issue? How and or why are these sources and or beliefs influencing our definition? So, I said Bloom identifies two problems. For the federal government and law enforcement, even though drinking alcohol was illegal, people continue to do so. For medical professionals and public health officials, people are becoming seriously ill or disabled, including going blind, and in the most extreme cases, dying. Okay, and then we get to the seriousness of the issue. That should be fixed. Is this situation a benefit or a drawback? How do you know? How serious is the problem or issue? Whom might it affect? Who are the stakeholders? What happens if we do nothing? What are the costs of solving the problem or issue? Or do we lack the needed information to make such a determination? Or what is influencing our determination of the seriousness of this problem or issue? How or why are these sources of beliefs influencing our determination? Bloom explains that between 1926, when Coolidge's administration demanded additional chemicals be added to the industrial alcohol, and the end of Prohibition in 1933, at least 10,000 people died. These additives included acetone, benzene, chloroform, formaldehyde, kerosene, and gasoline. So I didn't list all of them, but I gave the reader an idea of what some of the chemicals are, and I chose ones that I thought would be most familiar to a general audience. And then we have the plan of action or policy. Should action be taken? Who should be involved in helping to solve the problem or address the issue? What should be done about this problem? What needs to happen to solve this problem or address this issue? Or what is influencing our determination of what to do about this problem or issue? How or why are these sources of beliefs influencing our determination? Because I'm getting ready to write a summary, I decided to focus on the ultimate solution to both problems. I could have included how the federal government thought, well, our solution to make people stop breaking the law is to poison the supply, which actually created more problems. Sometimes solutions do end up creating more problems. They don't act as solutions at all. it just make a problem worse or more widespread. And from a public health standpoint, the local health officials did their level best to warn the population, look, please just don't drink this stuff. Everything in the supply line right now is tainted. So think in terms of if the government did something like they wanted people to stop using heroin, and they were the ones who put fentanyl in the heroin supply, or they wanted people to stop using cocaine, same kind of thing. It would be the equivalent. And so it's just obviously that's not acceptable. So I chose to focus on the ultimate solution to both the public health problem and the problem of breaking the law. So in this case, this is how it unfolded. Both the widespread disregard of prohibition and the deaths caused by the addition of poisons to industrial alcohol were solved through the repeal of the law, which was followed by government at the local, state, and federal levels regulating the manufacture and sale of alcohol. So what I did in my case, because I'd taken time to refine my notes up here, I, for the most part, just used the same wording in the summary as I did under each of the Stasis. Your group may or may not do that. You may find it more useful to just put down bullet points under explain here, and then when you go to write the summary, to do that, revision work to make everything flow together more. So this is my summary. So this is what it looks like when you put it all together. Even though prohibition made the manufacture and sale of alcohol illegal, Americans not only wanted to continue to drink but actually drank more. Deborah Bloom points out that during the 1920s, insurance companies documented that alcohol consumption increased by 300% to deter the public from drinking alcohol made through a process criminals used to alter industrial alcohol so that it could, in theory, be made potable. President Calvin Coolidge's administration ordered manufacturers to add substances that would make the flavor detestable, would make the drinker violently ill, or both. Bloom identifies two problems. For the federal government and law enforcement, even though drinking alcohol was illegal, people continued to do so. For medical professionals and public health officials, people were becoming seriously ill or disabled, including going blind, and in the most extreme cases, dying. Bloom explains that between 1926, when Coolidge's administration demanded additional chemicals be added to industrial alcohol, and the end of Prohibition in 1933, at least 10,000 people died. These additives included acetone, benzene, chloroform, formaldehyde, kerosene, and gasoline. Both the widespread disregard of prohibition and the deaths caused by the addition of poisons to industrial alcohol were solved through the repeal of the law, which was followed by government at the local, state, and federal levels regarding the manufacture and sale of alcohol. So, this is what we're going to be doing in class with the video that I showed you before, the long-form Heineken commercial involving the social experiment. So we will be working together to co-construct that. We'll be breaking it up, and we will have different groups work on different parts. So that way we can come together and create a summary in class in real time. So I hope you all will let me know if you have questions at the beginning of class on Wednesday. Hopefully you will go through this. I'm not going to create a quiz. I'm just going to expect that because you want to be prepared for class on Wednesday, that you will do due diligence and that you will view this video, go through the materials I've posted, and be ready to work with your groups on Wednesday. So again, apologies for not being able to meet with you in person today, and hope all is well with you. Have a great next couple of days, and I'll see you all on Wednesday. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.